What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and I have with me a very special guest tonight, three-time world record holder and recent Clash on the Coast, just eradicator of all heavy implements, Nadia Stowers. What's up, Nadia? How are you this evening?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for joining me. This is very, very exciting for me.
No, you're good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So I hear that you were just doing some coaching. How was that going today?
It's going good. Like I was telling you earlier, I do run the gym here alongside Jacob Finity, Big Speed and Strength. So as people come in, we coach them. We've got a great group of strongmen, fairly new as well, that we're trying to get into shows, get into competing. And so that's our day in, day out, just coaching, running the gym, all the back work that has to do with that too.
Nice. How long has that gym been there?
This is going on our 4th year.
Nice. Men and women, I hope?
Yeah, it's a great mix. And the women, it's comparable. Like, we've got some really strong women in here with the men, so they actually push each other no matter what they're doing. So it's a good vibe.
I'm sure. Yeah, for anybody in the audience who hasn't watched Nadia or Jessica Fithin or Donna Moore, definitely lots of very, very strong women.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I like to start off my interviews by maybe this is a little embarrassing, but giving you the opportunity to brag about your accomplishments. You might not get that opportunity elsewhere.
No, I don't really do it very often, but one thing I am super proud of is that not even being a pro, being able to do not only just 3 world records, but one American record. That's 4 even before I've reached a pro card, even before I've gone to my first pro show. So I don't know if there's any other strong woman athlete that's done that, but I feel like that should be like one of the, one of the stepping stones for me. Super proud of that. So
absolutely. I assumed you were a pro.
No, still an amateur.
That's interesting. Yeah. Talk about what's the journey to become a pro for a strong woman?
It's actually kind of hard because there's not very many shows where you can get your pro card. Last year there was only one, which was nationals. I did come in 3rd. So that one I didn't get it, but then there's not another show until the Arnold's been canceled twice. So again, there's 2 opportunities there that I couldn't get it. Thankfully, there's going to be 2 more this year that I'm going to praying that I get it this year if they don't cancel it. But it's actually very hard. There's slim pickings, not a lot of opportunities to become a pro.
Yeah. So what are the opportunities? Is it official strongman games?
No, that's actually not. That's considered like a pro show without being a pro. Okay. I did just get invited to America's Strongest Woman. They made like an amateur elite class. Nice. Top 3, they will get their pro cards. So that's on the table. And then if I don't get it there is nationals. So those are going to be my 2 opportunities this year to hopefully snag a pro card.
Okay. Strongman Corp nationals, because USS already happened. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. American Strongest Woman, you had to be a pro before, right? So this is a new class?
This is brand new. They just sent out an email about actually last week. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because that was one of the shows me and my coach had our eyes on to do as soon as I turned pro. And I was like, well, we kind of get the opportunity to do it as an amateur, and then I'm going to go back as a pro. So things are actually moving faster than we kind of expected them to.
Yep. Yeah. So one thing I was wondering about, just culturally, you're a Southern Cali girl, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for people like myself, I'm in New Jersey. I haven't traveled a lot in California, definitely not the LA area. What do you think? What would you say is the best part of Southern California culture that people might not know about?
Honestly, to me, it's the weather, because cold weather is terrible for training. It takes forever for your body to warm up. You stand too long, you're already cold again, got to warm up again. So thankfully, we are blessed with very warm weather. Even if it's hot is still good for training. It keeps the muscles warm, keeps them loose. So I'm very blessed that we are able to train pretty much year round with some pretty good weather going on.
Awesome. So when you first started Strongman, what was the first implement that really caught your, you're good at everything, right? You're an incredible deadlifter, an incredible presser. You're good with stones. What was the one that first got your attention where you said, I have to do that?
I was actually watching my coach compete, and weirdly enough, there was some girls off to the side warming up, and they were doing dumbbell, the Circus dumbbell. And me just being a 24-hour gym rat, I had never seen the size of this thing. They're pressing it over their heads. So I'm turning and I'm looking, I'm like, what is that? I need to go do that. And that was just the warm-ups. And then watching my coach compete throughout the entire day, I was just like, I have to do this. I was just so fascinated. It wasn't dumbbells, machinery in a commercial gym, air conditioning. It was blood, sweat, tears, all on that field. And I just had to do it.
Yeah, so I'm just a guy working out in my garage, but I use a fat grip on a regular dumbbell and kind of try to mimic Circus. And so whenever I have people of your caliber on my show, I always ask for tips. So I got tips from Leitha Ingalls, I got tips from Anthony San Lorenzo. So what's your best Circus dumbbell tip for me?
Honestly, what helps us is look at the dumbbell, because a lot of people will try to press it from behind the head, looking straight forward, looking in the mirror, and you lose your coordination. So honestly, my coach always teaches just look up at the dumbbell the whole way, and that'll make or break your day.
Okay. And do you prefer like a plate loaded or the Rogue type that's rounded?
I actually haven't got a chance to be with one that's rounded, so we only have the plate loaded ones. I mean, we have one, but it's 140 by itself, so we leave that one to Jacob. So we have the plate loaded ones.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, and your deadlift is pretty. Am I right? You're in the 250 kilo club? 554, I think, is what I saw online.
Yeah, that was before. Last month I did hit 584. That was my new PR. So we're just inching closer to 600.
That's amazing. That's an elite club. So who's over 600? Andrea, Kristen Rhodes, and Lucy Underdown?
Underdown, and then I know there's Rhiannon.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. The unbelievable lightweight deadlifting crazy weights. Yeah.
So our goal, I don't think any of the other ones you just named use a suit, but our goal is to get to 600 as a middleweight without a suit. That's going to be like a lifetime goal.
That's incredible. That's unbelievable. So I kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit to Clash on the Coast. How did you first find out about it? I mean, I happen to think Anthony did a great thing, just being inclusive of record breakers, the middleweights, the production value. It was just awesome. But how were you first approached about it?
It was actually my coach's fault because we never press block. And randomly, I go into the gym one day. And he's like, "Hey, I want you to do block. I want you to hit 200." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But I pretty much just do what he tells me to do. I follow him. And so I do it. I hit the 200, record it. Later on, probably like an hour later, I find out that there was a record going on for the block, and she hit 184. And so that same day, within like an hour of each other, he had me do the block record. And so Anthony, seeing that, seeing my post, shot me a message and was like, "Hey, would you like to go ahead and break that officially at Clash?" And then just kind of grew from there. He got Melissa involved, who was doing log. Came back, "Hey, you want to do log too?" And I was like, "Why not?" And so from there, just back and forth making arrangements. And I was like, I haven't gone for any records or anything. I wasn't a pro. A little scared at first, but they were numbers that I had hit. So I'm like, why not? You don't get it? Oh, well, life goes on. But never be afraid to take those chances. So, yeah, he reached out to me after he saw the block.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible that you were able to do that. First of all, the block is the most unwieldy of implements, and like to be able to pick it up that quickly is unbelievable. I mean, Gabby Bergholzer set the middleweight record. It was just January. It wasn't that long ago, and she shattered it. I think it was 156 before that. So,
yeah,
because I was kind of covering that event a little bit. So it was 156. She broke it with 194, and then yours was 215, I believe.
It was 215, yeah, the final one.
Yeah. So thoughts about we'll get to the log in a minute, but thoughts on the block. You're close to the open record. So Jessica Fithen has it, and I think she's 220.4. So you're not that far.
No, I actually beat it in training. My highest block was 222. I wanted to secure it at Clash, so I didn't make major big jumps. So 215. Then my YOLO was 225. I got it over my head, but I lost balance. So to me, I'm like, it's right there. If I were to try and do it again, I would have it. But block is extremely challenging. People come into the gym and ask for us to teach them. And we honestly sit and look at each other and we're like, do you think they're going to die if we try to teach them block? So it is a very tricky, not something we will teach anybody offhand, but it's something that we do have in our back pocket. And my coach, Jacob, has actually beaten, I think it's the heavyweight record of 400-pound block. And he can just hit that recreationally. He can pick the crap up and just press it over his head, which is why we're so good here, because he's the exact same way. We just picked it up.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, so like I said, the block is difficult for most people. So what kind of let me ask this way, what makes it hard and how do you overcome those with technique?
It is purposely made to be as unbalanced as possible. So you may clean it, you may get it to your chest, you feel great. As soon as that block comes off your chest, it already starts to do this crap. So you have to balance it. And then you have to lean. So a lot of areas that the guys struggle with is they're not able to make themselves as flat backwards as possible. Which they kind of have a joke here where it's like there's me and there's Nathan Goldtree here, Jacob with the block, where we literally go almost flat tabletop to sit that block up and then keep the balance as you're pressing it up. The hardest part is people will rush the press and that will just come crashing down on you. And that's where things get a little scary. So it's a very controlled movement. Also, your body is rejecting the fact that it has a heavy metal box directly over your face. So anytime something heavy, you're looking at it, your body goes, no, and it throws it. And so that's the most difficult part to get over is, yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, it's over my head. Do not drop it. So once you get over that, you're going to be okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, so the first time I saw it done, like I said, it was January. It was the Mammoth Strength Challenge, and they did it on a dirt floor. So you can imagine you get, you know, divots in the ground as the day wears on, and it's difficult to get your balance, difficult to get your hands underneath, even with the feet on the block. So, have you trained with the Mauser block that has the feet, or a kind of footless block?
No, we actually are in good relationship with John Mauser, and we have both the baby block and the big block, and so we actually have the implements here in the gym.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I heard the Mausers were going to stop making them, but Frank Gonzalez was taking it on. Is that the same rumor you heard?
He did. From my experience, though, they're slightly different because the training block I have here came directly from Mauser. Then going to Clash, it was a little bit thicker, a little bit wider. So I'm not sure if they just purposely made it like their own or something went mixture in the communication of how to make it. But there's a couple of variations. It's not exactly the same.
Okay. Interesting. So how long ago did you start training block? You said pretty recently?
Yeah, actually, before the he had me attempt it, we'd only done block once before for a LA Fit Expo competition, and it was just the little block loaded to 100 pounds. So it was just a quick up, down. We maybe spent probably 3 months learning it, and then coming back to it, it had maybe been a year or so since we touched the block. So that kind of came out of nowhere.
Wow. Huh. That's crazy. Interestingly enough, I just checked and I have a whole bunch of people in the comments who can't see us. The stream is not streaming for them.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to have to catch it on a replay, I guess. So I don't know what happened technically tonight, but we'll keep having a nice chat.
Like, sorry, we'll see you when it reposts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I actually just went and looked at it myself. Here, let me show you what it looks like. It's crazy. So here, I'll share my screen. This is what they're all seeing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So it says hear nothing, huh?
Yeah. So it says started streaming, but it's not showing them anything.
Oh, right. Okay. Like, sorry, guys. I'll make sure to repost it and stuff for them too. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Sorry about that. This is usually like very, very smooth. So not sure what happened. Interesting. Well, all right. Let me stop that. We'll just keep going, and hopefully it actually records. Because if not, I think that you'll probably never give me another shot.
No, anyway. If you need to reschedule, if it didn't record, I'm more than happy to do it again.
I appreciate that. So so I wanted to kind of rewind back to your roots, your upbringing. Is there something kind of interesting about your roots that you think people wouldn't know that they might be interested in?
A lot of people are actually surprised to find out that I've never played a sport, and I didn't think that was a big deal before, because I was just like, do you have to have an athletic background to be good at weightlifting? And I was like, no. Like, the closest thing I've ever gotten to a sport was marching band, which, do not underestimate, is exhausting and it feels like a sport. But I've never played a sport. There wasn't any kind of background that pushed me into strength training. I kind of just saw it one day at 24 Hour. I liked their barbell class. And then from there, you kind of just graduate. You get better. You move on to YouTube. You move on to the real weights. And from there, found Jacob, found his gym. And I was like, cool, this is a coach. Let's hit the ground running. And it's really short and simple. I don't have like a soccer, basketball, whatever. I didn't play any kind of sport.
Yeah, I was reading about your marching band background, and I wanted to ask you what instrument you played.
I started out with the clarinet originally, and then as people graduated, they needed more space. So I actually self-taught myself the tenor saxophone, which is, in my opinion, really cool because it's loud, it's big, and I had a blast with that. So my first 2 years was clarinet, and then my last 2 years was a tenor saxophone.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I was a kid, I played trumpet. And one day, the kid who played saxophone went to the restroom and he left it like not a tenor, like a regular sax. And so I said, "Oh, I bet that would sound cool. Let me try to play it." So it looks like a horn, but it's really a woodwind. So like I picked it up and I had no idea what I was doing. Like I'm blowing nothing. And he comes in, the teacher comes in, and like back when in my youth, like they were expensive. You rented them. They weren't even yours, So like, put that down. That's not yours.
Break a reed. We will break your face because they're expensive.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Trumpet's like you're spitting into it to make sound.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
So, different, totally different thing. So that's my saxophone story. How long did you do marching band?
All 4 years throughout high school.
Nice.
Yeah, that kind of followed me because I kind of did band middle school. It's just a little class that you have as like an elective. And then from there, I just went on to high school because it's what I already knew. Easy elective. Marching band got you more active, so it counted as PE. So it's killing two birds with one stone. So I just kind of carried that through. Stopped when I got out of high school. And then ironically, kind of went into just like a boring lifestyle for a little bit. I was customer service representative. From there, I got bored. Started Spartan races, met Jacob at a Spartan race, and I was like, all right, what's the next step? And then lo and behold, who knew it would be Strongwoman?
You got any good customer service stories?
Oh, God, I'd rather not.
You want to hear one of mine? If you'd rather not, you want to hear one of mine?
Sure.
So I was doing customer service for a telecom company, and they put me as my first job. They put me like level 3 with the irate customers. So they call up like, my phone's broken, my accessories, this and that, and they're all yelling basically. So I thought, well, they haven't trained me. I have no skills. So my technique was I knew there was a room over there with replacement parts. Okay. So I'd like lay the phone down, let them yell. And sometimes it was like 10 minutes. They keep yelling, but you could hear it because the phone was laying on the desk. Right. So the yelling would stop. I'd pick it up. I'd say, would it make you happy if I'd send you a new phone and some accessories? And they'd say, well, yeah. And I said, okay, while you were yelling, I've done all the paperwork. It's on the way already. Well, thank you. And I'd solve every problem by giving away stuff.
Sometimes you just have to shut them up. I was like, one, please stop screaming at me. But once I got out of that job, I did waitressing, customer service, total of 12 years of my life, which was half of my life at that time. I was a little kid. And so I was like, never again. Once I got into the gym here with Jacob, started coaching, started training, I was like, I can never go back to
that. That's funny. So, Juan in the audience says it's working now. Thank you, Juan. I don't know why YouTube took so long to get going, but I just checked it myself, and I think I see us too.
Oh, good. Please wait, awesome. Loading.
Yeah, that's quite some loading, but yeah, awesome. So that's great. So yeah, for everybody who just joined, we've been having quite a good chat. You'll see it on the replay. Sorry for the technical difficulties this evening, but as I mentioned earlier, we have the great Nadia Stowers on this evening. We were talking about got a little bit into her world records, a little bit about her background, her foray into marching band, and a bunch of cool stuff, customer service. So unlike my normal live streams where I'm usually talking about contest analysis and I have time to read every single comment, of course, my attention's on Nadia this evening, so it'll be tough to get to every single comment. But if you do have a question you want to get through, you do have the super chat available to you. Totally optional, but totally appreciated. That's a way to get yourself more noticed while I'm looking straight at Nadia to kind of see it off at the side if you have a question you really want to get in. So back to our discussion. Clash on the Coast, you talked about kind of how you found out about it. What was your experience there? I mean, aside from the records, which we'll get to in a moment, kind of how did you think it was set up? What was your overall impression of what Anthony put together there?
Was a great location. The hotel, the resort, literally on the beach, was absolutely beautiful. It was surrounded by great restaurants, and just to save money, we did not get a car. So thankfully, there was a million restaurants within walking distance. Even the restaurant at the resort was fantastic. We were well taken care of in that sense. In regards to pressing platforms, the log was interesting. They did have us in the sand on a platform. It was windy. It was just directly up to the sky. So that was interesting. That was very difficult to press off of that platform, but they really wanted that view. They really wanted the water in the back. On my last attempt, I actually got pretty scared because I stepped off of the platform because it was kind of small, and that's why I called it. I was like, okay, I'm not getting hurt over this. But the next day when we did the block and they did the axle, it was in the parking lot on the asphalt, which was so much better. So it was a mix for pressing experience, but overall experience, it was such a great location, absolutely gorgeous. And I do look forward to going back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with the sand, it looked beautiful on the stream, but I was thinking, like, for the guys especially, some of those loading events running in sand must have been very, very tough.
Oh, some of that was hard to watch because you can see them just pumping their legs and they are not going anywhere. Or they'll pick up an implement and who knows, it's got like 5 extra pounds because sand is inside of it. Or throwing kegs, they throw the kegs, the sand goes everywhere. It's in everybody's eyes. It's just, it was interesting to watch. I mean, I know it's good for TV, but you also have to think about your athletes. I would not have put them in sand like that, but that's just me.
Yeah, the keg toss especially, I don't know how you get any leg drive from sand.
You really can't, because at least the way that I'm taught how to do kegs is we drive down like a kettlebell swing and we jump up. You can't really get a lot of jumping when you're in the sand. It just sinks you down. So I was actually very impressed with the men that did happen to finish that. And again, it was just impressive how they pushed through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Juan Daniel says that you're a beast, that pressing that block was something different.
Appreciate that, Juan. Thank you.
Thanks, Juan. Yeah, so talking about the log, you did a 260 on the log, right? Which is also a middleweight record?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so a little different from the block. That one's a little further from an open record, right? I think Andrea's at 290. Let's call it 298. I think it's 297.7 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so any designs on closing that gap?
Oh, yeah. In training, I was so close. The last log that I hit in training was 289. So I was hoping to at least get 280. But again, you got to work with the conditions that you have, not an excuse, but adapt. And so I'm actually grateful that it is 260 because it leaves me time or room actually to go back and hit it again and go back and hit it again because I know I have the ability to raise it. Just hoping again for better conditions for that press. But oh, yeah, I'm coming for a 300 log hopefully sometime within the next year or so.
Wow, that's amazing for a middleweight. Incredible. How long has your career been so far?
This is going on my 4th year. December will be 4 years total.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's quick. I was going to say it's opposite from Eddie Hall syndrome, where it's like break it by enough so it doesn't get broken for a while, like you did with the deadlift.
Records are meant to be broken. That's why it's fun. Like you're going to keep track of your record and you're like, oh, crap, she broke it. All right, let's go. We got to do it again. And that's what keeps you going. It doesn't let you get comfortable. Competition's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to push each other. Once you're comfortable sitting back on your laurels, I feel like you lose that fire, that spark that started with. You're just like, okay, I did my time. I'm done. And then it's like, now what?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure Gabby Bergholz is thinking the same thing now that you broke the block record. She wants to go try it again.
Yeah, it's like, let's go. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to push each other. We're supposed to have fun. Hopefully, Strongman will come back to being drama-free, but I don't know. People are getting butt hurt super easily. So it's just like, let's just lift. Let's just have fun.
Who's making drama? You want me to talk to them?
No, just everybody. As long as you keep up with people's posts, competitions, people are just whining. I was like, I stay in my bubble and I lift. And that's why we have a blast here.
Yeah. I'm fortunate. I haven't met any of those people. Everybody I've interviewed is cool like you. Yeah. Have you ever come across Gabby at all?
Yeah, I met her one time. I think it was at a Fit Expo. She did have an Army booth, and I did come across her then. And then also at War on the Shore is one of the competitions I competed at. We weren't really on speaking terms because we didn't really know each other that well. But from there, we kind of follow each other, and you kind of keep in contact that way.
Yeah, she's really nice. I've had her on a couple times. She's cool. Yeah, Jessica also. I don't know if you've met Jessica Fifth, another block pressing monster.
Not in person, but kind of over Instagram. I kind of keep track of a couple of big people that you kind of like, okay, what are they doing? Where the sport's going? So there's not very few that I do follow, or very many, excuse me, but the few that I do, I kind of look at them as an example. What competitions are available? What are they doing? So just keeping informed.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of rewinding back to how you met Jacob, what's that story?
Let's see. Starting out kind of 24-hour fitness, got bored, phased out of that. I did actually end up going to another, it's like a boot camp place called The Camp. He was a coach there. And so I met one of my friends who had taken one of his classes. Like, hey, they're all getting together to do a Spartan run. You're invited. And so from there, went to the Spartan run. He was there. And from there, as a big old group, you get to know everybody, you get to have fun. We finished the race. Later on that evening, they tell me that he's opening up a gym. And lo and behold, who knew that this gym would literally be 10 minutes down from the house that I currently was living in? Mind you that this Spartan race was in Nevada. So what are the odds? So that's a sign right there. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to go to this gym. From there, day one, signed up. I didn't know anything about Strongman just yet, but I signed it up as just a regular member. Loved it. His training is unlike anybody else. He pushes, gets to know you as a person. From there, he was competing, and I was like, okay, what do you compete at? Like, what, bodybuilding? And I was like, he's like, no, something completely different. Invited me to go watch him compete, and that kind of ties into the story where I was telling you, I went to watch him compete, saw the women do the dumbbell, saw him finish the show, hit the ground running from there. I was like, this is awesome. What is Strongman, and how do I do it?
Oh, that's funny. So we talked about log, we talked about block, we talked about deadlift a little bit. I've seen you doing your fair share of damage with stones as well. What was your first introduction to stones?
I've been trying to. Stones are popping back up into shows, which is actually one of my favorite. I actually learned on those unforgiving stones of steel because we didn't have actual stones when I first joined the gym. So I learned on the big 140 stone of steel. Mind you, I'm 5'5". I got the torso of a 5-year-old, so I'm small, trying to wrap my body around this big old steel stone. But I mean, ultimately, thanks to his coaching, I'm able to do it. And now I want to honestly say we have one of the biggest stone collections out of any strongman gym you'll come across. And so whenever we want to, we just tacky up or even untacky if he's really wanting to challenge us. Go over there, load them, high load them, run a medley, whatever we need to do with them. So they're right here at our fingertips.
That's awesome. So what's your stone up to these days? What's your PR?
The last one I hit was a 309. I think the only reason I can't get higher is, again, because the 21-inch, the 22-inch stones are just too big. It's just like I cannot get myself around them. Otherwise, it's like weight's not an issue. It's just size. So it's finding out the different leverages. I'm actually very proud of that 309. The 270 that I posted just this week has never flown like that before. And that's probably coming me off about 6 months not touching a stone. So that's exciting.
309 is big. 309 is really big, regardless of arm length.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've heard from a lot of other strongmen and strongwomen about what people don't necessarily know about Atlas stone lifting is not just the lift, but you have to squeeze together on it. Do you find that to be the case?
I think it's the squeeze, because after so much, like, you can only squeeze your fingertips so hard. There's not very many muscles in your hands. So it's like, all right, it's got all my arms, it's got all my torso. I need that last like 2 inches, it's just a little bit longer arms to get around the rest of the stone to be able to engage the squeeze. So that unfortunately is where the size comes into play.
Okay, makes sense. And Juan has a question for you. Nadia, do you have your eyes set on breaking Melissa Peacock's axle record? You clearly have the shoulder strength.
Guess Juan, you are not caught up. I have beat Peacock's axle record. I just did that this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, and I got it to 282, where it was originally set at 275.
Wow, that's amazing. You don't take long breaks between competitions, do you?
No, why not? There was nothing at the beginning of this year, so we focused on records. And now, towards the end of this year, we're going to focus on shows.
So I guess like these weights are just easy for you because normally you would think, you know, you peak and then you need a bunch of time to peak again, but apparently not.
No, and that's actually what I love about the style of coaching that Jacob does is that we don't really peak. We just keep training and training and training. We're a percentage base, so we'll hit a max, base the rest of our training off of that to build to a new max. And so we're consistently upping our numbers. And so when a record attempt comes up, it's like, no, that kind of lines right up to where our training was going anyway. So it's not any extra work that we have to put into it. It's now just dialing in the form, getting the nerves out, hitting those numbers that you have in mind every single time. So when you hit the platform, the confidence is there. So yeah, it's not really like a peaking that most people would think of.
Okay, interesting. That's cool. That's how I train too. I don't peak either.
I'm very sarcastic, so I catch stuff like that.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. So I was just thinking, kind of to talk about your childhood a little bit. Did you have a hero growing up, and has that changed today?
Not necessarily a hero. Of course, there's always that person that you look up to, and that was always my grandmother. Anytime home life got hard, she was always kind of like the escape. She was always like the rescue, but not necessarily like a hero where most people would think like a celebrity or somebody that they look forward to like that. Mine was personal and close to home. So she got me where I needed to be. She practically raised me. And without her, who knows where I would be, honestly, because home life wasn't the best. Home life was very unstable. And so she was my rock. So that's always going to be my hero.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Mine is my dad. So I relate. Yeah. Was there anybody, okay, let me ask this. Who has been your favorite person to compete with, either because of a personality thing or they drive you to be better for whatever reason?
To compete with. Honestly, I don't see a lot of recurring faces when I compete. So yeah, there's not really anyone. I'm hoping as I come along in the pro circuit, I'm seeing that there's more similar faces now. Even so, like I see a lot of Melissa, I see a lot of Corey, like those same faces are popping up now. So I'm hoping with them, I will find favorites. But in regards to like the middleweight classes and amateur, you really see different every time you go, whether it's a Fit Expo, a Nationals, or just a backyard show. So I don't really see a lot of the same people.
Yeah, Corey's really nice too. She's been on here as well, and yeah, she's cool. Good for her. She has the American record on the axle now, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, kind of conversely, is there someone you haven't had a chance to compete with yet that you're looking forward to? Like, I really want to either defeat this person or see them because they look like they would be cool, or what have you.
For a while there, I have my eyes on Leifa, and she knows this because I tell her every time I see her, I'm like, I need you to get your ass back in a competition so that we can compete. Because I tell her she was even my inspiration for shaving half of my head. I saw her and I was like, whatever the heck she's doing, I need to do it because it's clearly working. And then ironically, her and Jacob were friends. They used to go to East Coast, West Coast together. So they keep in contact. So she's just one of those women that's kind of kept in the circle where I'm like, she's signed up for one of the shows that's coming up later on this year. And I hope she shows up. That's someone that I've had my eye on for a very long time.
Yeah, Leifa's cool. Like I said, that's how I learned how to do Circus Dumbbell. She's a great coach as well. She coaches Alila Worley, who was my first interview when I was a terrible interviewer. So sorry, Alila.
You're the guinea pig. My bad.
Yeah, but she's cool. Why is she injured? Like, why has Leifa been away?
I just think the timing, like she's accomplished so much, she's done so much where you have that phase where it's like, okay, maybe it's time to try something new. Again, this is just my opinion from what I'm seeing of her. She seems to be on the more adventurous side. She's enjoying life more, not so much focusing on just strongman. Now she's got different aspects of her life that she's looking forward to. Her posts are goofy, silly, weird. So she's exploring more of her side. She's loving to read. So to me, it's just more of self-discovery of a different side other than her strength side. Like she wants to find out who she is.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a great journey. You have any desire to go do the Husafel like she did?
No, but I was there when I saw her do it in one of the Highland Games ones, and she was just going, going, going. I don't know if you were aware of any of the memes that popped up afterwards, but I was always looking for them because they cracked me up. They would replace Gustavo with like a burrito or some kind of stolen package or just something dumb, and they had me cracking up. So no, Gustavo's one of those events where I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to do it. But so no, I'll leave that to her.
I can't get into any of that. I got to be respectful to all of you. You all do things I can't do, so I can't get into all ththose memes.
It's so funny though. You gotta have a sense of humor and laugh.
Yeah, I think she and Sandra Bradley both did it, if I remember. There was a whole YouTube kind of mini movie about it.
Yeah, and I think they got a little tattoo of it as well, if I remember correct.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Leifa's cool. So some strong men, strong women competitors have day jobs. I guess would yours be coaching?
Yeah, I'm here at the gym from closing to open to close, and I also help run the back end. So this is my job. Like I'm eventually training, kind of like intern-ish, to be the manager here. I run a lot of the background stuff along with Jacob. He is an amazing mentor, and so one day I want him to be able to sit back as the owner and just hand me the reins and be like, okay, you built it. Now I'm going to take care of it, and you can just like look at the thing that you created. This is your masterpiece, and it is an absolutely amazing gym. And I told him, you're not going to get rid of me. You're stuck with me. So this is what I do day in, day out.
That's fine. Awesome. So what would you say if you had to say what your general coaching philosophy is? How would you describe it?
Just give us effort, and we can teach you anything. Honestly, because you could have never picked up a weight in your life. You could have never seen a gym in your life. But if you have the heart and you have an open mind to anything that either myself or Jacob are trying to coach you, and without any fight back, you will see absolutely incredible results. Because anybody with a ton of heart, I honestly believe, will beat anybody with a ton of talent. Because if they don't want it, if you don't have that passion, it's going to fade out. So to me, if you have a fire, if you've got the soul for it, if you're like, I need to do that because I can relate, we can teach you anything. I swear to God.
Awesome. That's a great philosophy. I'm about to take a flight out there myself right now.
You'd be more than welcome to.
It's so funny. So I was about to ask you, I ask everybody, like, what do you like best about strong man, strong woman? And they all, to a person, I don't want to steal your answer, but they all say the camaraderie, like the kind of welcome behavior. And I'll give you a second to think of your answer. But as a fan, I found that like almost nobody has refused to talk to me, like from very accomplished athletes to yourself to those who are just starting out. I've had Donna Moore on here. I've had JF Caron. Like it's just so much more welcoming than I think any other sport. But what would you say is the best thing about the sport?
That's definitely one of them, because from my own experience, strongman can be very humbling. So of course you'll get your one-offs. There's always going to be one arrogant guy, whatever. There's one in every case. But as a whole, strongman is very like that. It's a very camaraderie. Everybody wants to see everybody succeed. And because we can all relate to what that person's going through. We all have a backstory. We all know how heavy those weights are. When you get that lift, we know how exciting that can absolutely be. So that's what brings it all together. And then another thing with strongman is separate from any other sport. Not personally because I haven't played them, but just what I've noticed is that strongman will show you the limits of your body, like your absolute limits. So when your mind quits and it's like, no, I'm too strong or I'm too weak, I can't pick that up, I need to be stronger. If you literally just put your hands on it and try it, the amount of times we've heard, oh my God, I've never done that before, are priceless. So it's just like strongman will push you if you let it. And if you want to like unlock that inner self that so many people walk around lost and they're looking for something. And I believe if they lift, not even compete, if they lift, they will find that inner self that everyone's been looking for and be like, I can actually do something. I feel so accomplished. So that to me is, even before the camaraderie, is what I take away from strongman.
Yeah, that's a really great lesson. I've kind of run into that myself. Just a quick reminder for everybody in the audience, if you have any questions for Nadia, definitely let us know. I've kind of had my attention on her. So if you want to grab my attention with a question or a comment that you really want to get through, you do have the super chat available, totally optional, but totally appreciated. And I was going to tell you a story about how that relates to that. So basically, we had to build a retaining wall at the house, and I have stones just laying all around. And most people I know would, grab a wheelbarrow or whatever. But I'm with you. It's fun, right? Like, I'm not lifting natural stones like you and your colleagues are, but it's maybe 100-pound stone, and it's just fun to lift it up, carry one over at a time till I have a 30 stone wall or whatever, and I just find that fun. I don't know if you noticed the logo. You could probably see it on the top of the screen here somewhere. There's like a guy lifting a chair. Can you see that?
Yes, I do see that.
So the way, and if you can tell me to shut up if you're not interested. So the way I came up with that actually is I started this channel during the pandemic. And so a lot of people, as you know, couldn't get to their gyms during lockdown. So I was kind of trying to motivate people. Well, you can find stuff all around you in your property that you can lift. So I was like lifting picnic tables and like generators and like all kinds of stuff. And then I built an outdoor movie theater for my little kids at the house because we couldn't go do things, right? And so I got these big recliners and put them outside in the outdoor movie theater. And when they arrived, I saw UPS arrived, and it took like 2 guys with a trolley to get it to the front door. And I said, challenge accepted. It took 2 guys to get it there. It's going to take 1 to get it to the back where I want it, right? So I kind of picked up the chairs, showed myself carrying the boxes, and those are my early videos. So that's where it comes from. It's kind of my tagline is small goals matter. Like, yeah, I can't Viking press 700 pounds, but I can lift a chair.
That's actually some of our favorite stories that we hear from clients. I think one of the ones that made me laugh the hardest recently was we have like a middle-aged mom. She comes in. Those are the ones that they don't expect themselves to do anything. And so she'd been training with us for about a month. She came back one day and she was like, one day I was making ice and I broke the ice tray. And she was so excited and I could not stop laughing. I was like, that is one of the best stories I've ever heard. She was like, I literally just like snapped it in half. She's like, I never thought that I would be strong. And I was like, you can't take that away from somebody. Yeah, we look at an ice tray like, okay, yeah, so it's plastic. But to her, that made her probably her whole month or whole whatever. And I was just like, that was amazing. It was just the small things. It's the smallest
so funny. We have a couple more questions in the audience. So question about whether you're ever thinking of going to heavyweight and challenging Andrea Thompson's deadlift record.
It has actually been in the back of my mind because there's only so much you can do as a middleweight. You put on more muscle, you are going to be heavier ultimately. There is going to become a time where you don't feel like doing a water cut. And I've even talked to Jacob. He's like, okay, once I've kind of done middleweight things, I do want to throw my hat into the ring as a heavyweight. I'm not afraid to be bigger. I'm not afraid to be heavy. I actually think these women are absolutely stacked and they look amazing. So I'm like, it'll be pretty cool. So yeah, somewhere down the line, I do want to become heavyweight-ish and then push the limits there, whether it's the deadlift, whether it's beating the other records in the open category now. So absolutely, I would throw my hat into the heavyweight ring sometime.
Well, Dustin seems to think that you are jacked already.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So being a middleweight, how do you feel like having to get to the top of the weight class? How much do you feel like that matters strength-wise?
From middleweights, it is actually one of the most stacked classes women-wise. Because I mean, heavyweights, they have their size on their side. Lightweights, their weights are kind of relative to where they're at physically. Middleweights, sometimes I look at the weights and I'm just like, oh my God, we have to do what? And then you have to wrap your mind around that. And so to me, that's very important. To me, proving yourself as a middleweight is a very big accomplishment because you're still on the smaller end of the women's scale, like size-wise. But then the weights that you can pick up are like, some men aren't even doing that stuff. And that's where it's cool. So I do want to push the limits. Oops, sorry, I almost dropped you there. Yeah, I do want to push the limits on being a middleweight. And then, like I said, once the middleweight has been expanded, do heavyweight. But I'm going to be a middleweight for a while, though. This is fun.
Middleweight is what, 82 kg and below?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, do you feel like you need to be right at that 82 kg to be your strongest? Or, like, is something below that okay?
Anything below that's fine. I actually, weirdly, I like to tell the story of people who get discouraged when they put weight on. I'm like, look, I came to Jacob at 165 pounds. Walking around just normally, not cutting or nothing, I'm now resting at 190. So you guys, I have put on quite a significant amount of weight working out here with Jacob, and it's a good weight. So I'm like, don't be afraid to put on your muscle mass. Don't be afraid to weigh more. It's ultimately just going to make you stronger. But yeah, again, trying to push the middle weight, putting on as much muscle on my body as again, water cutting safely, because once the water cut becomes too much, then it's like, okay, heavyweight, here we go. But for now, I'm going to be a comfortable middle.
What's eating like? So I think that people that aren't strongman competitors don't really have a good grasp of the eating that's required. So for you, are you used to it? Is it a chore? Like, where in that spectrum are you?
Weirdly, okay, this one is always kind of a weird topic because I don't eat like your average fitness enthusiast. I don't eat your average dialed in athlete. I'm actually very sporadic, but the way it works is no matter what I'm eating, I always make sure it's very high in protein. And I kind of pick around food. Like I can order one batch of carne asada fries where most people will sit there, eat the whole container. I will break that up into 2-3 meals. So ultimately you think, oh, okay, that's a very terrible meal choice. But when you look at it, like my coach explains to me, if you eat a half of it, if you eat a fourth of it, compare the macros to what these other athletes are eating, it actually equals out because you're not eating the entire portions every single time. You're actually making them into, in a way, your macros meet the meals. And so that's kind of how I go about it. Like I'll eat a ton of chicken. I never get tired of chicken, but I also enjoy my cheesecake. So it's like, it's about the portions and the moderation. Don't go crazy and just making sure you're getting enough protein. So that's where it's kind of funky, where people ask me, well, can you make a meal plan based on what you eat? And I'm like, no, because everybody else would be 600 pounds. So it won't work.
Yeah, so I was actually reading about that. Carne asada fries, I don't think is something we have on the East Coast. Is that an LA thing?
It kind of is, yeah. It's like a Southern California thing. It's literally taking the ingredients of a burrito and you dump it on top of fries instead. So
I mean, it sounds awesome. I've
it,
just never had it.
it's one of my favorite foods. I'm so grateful I live in a very Latin dominant area where you can literally turn any corner and there's a taco, there's a burrito, there's a carne asada fry. So that's pretty much what I live off of, which sounds awful, but I somehow make it work.
It's working for you, for sure. It's working for you. Let's see. We have a couple more comments. My buddy, World's Strongest Blacksmith, is here. Tyler. Let me make sure I get the right one. Here we go. What do you think is the difference in the elites of the women versus the men? I see the weights sort of slowing down for the men, but speeding up for the women. I think I noticed the same thing. What do you notice?
I would kind of have to agree with him there where with the heavy weights, I mean, they can push their bodies to some pretty extreme limits, but I feel like because the men already started so far before the women did, that the weights are starting to catch up with the men and they're pushing their bodies and they're breaking their bodies to the limits to try and reach those, where in my opinion, strong women is still fairly new. So we haven't even reached the peaks of where we can push our female bodies to do. So that's why I feel like they're seeing the weights kind of catch up, where I'm not saying the heavy weights are stopping anytime soon, but I am seeing that the weights are staying very similar. 800 yokes, 300 farmers, like you don't very see a lot of variations of that. The weights are usually the same, where women's are getting heavier and heavier. Like my next shows are extremely heavy. We've gone from 400 yokes, just to kind of put in perspective. In 2 years, my yokes have gone from 400 to now my last yoke of the year is going to be 660. So that's where the range is just like they're picking up speed and they're picking up speed fast. So who knows if we're going to catch up to the men probably faster than it took the men to get to their weights, because honestly, all of us women are just hitting the ground and running.
Yeah, I mean, so how heavy was the first yoke you ever picked up?
It was an empty yoke, so it's only about 200 pounds. Okay. And then in a show for probably my first year or so, the yoke wasn't more than like 420.
No, I'm just asking because Johnny Waz, who you might have seen at Clash on the Coast, his gym is near here. So he told me come by anytime. And I want to try a yoke, but I'm just thinking, like, isn't even an empty yoke really heavy?
It can be, but the way the weight is distributed, I mean, we put brand new people under an empty yoke and they can pick it up. Like if you can squat, you can pick up a yoke. It's not very much different.
Okay. All right.
Even to pick it and stand. Running is different. That's where the technique comes into play. But just to at least pick it, anybody can stand up with you.
Yeah. What are your technique tips on yoke? I've asked a lot of people this, but
Honestly, before I even move my feet, the most important thing for me is to lock out the hips beforehand. Like thinking at the top of the deadlift, it doesn't count until those hips are through and everything's locked in place. If you try to run with any kind of weight on a yoke on your back and you're not locked out, it's just going to bring you come crashing down. So you have to be locked and loaded before you can even move with it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've heard like a lot of different things from breathing to, quick, short steps and all those sorts of things. But yeah, the lockout is important too, because I think like even the lats, like if you're locking it out, you're increasing the surface area that the crossbar is on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I've been keeping you quite a bit this evening, but have you watched World's Strongest Man at all? Like, do you keep up with that?
Trying, but of course, like they don't release their footage and stuff, so you catch a little here, you catch a little there. My coach has been keeping up with it, so I hear a lot from him. So a little bit here and there, but they're like, okay, we'll make you wait till the end of the year to actually watch it. And you're like, okay. So just kind of nitpicking here from people like similar to yourself who are posting as they get results. So that's really, we're getting that without watching the actual show.
Any of the guys that you follow in particular, or not so much?
Not so much, no. It used to be Martins. He's a great pal of ours. He might be coming in again soon, hopefully next year. But before that, no, we didn't watch it. But we did watch Martins for sure.
Yeah, he's had some rotten luck. I really hope that things turn around for him. I think the whole world's waiting to see him compete again. And he's just a super entertaining guy and super strong guy.
Yeah, no, he is a good friend of ours. He'll stop by the gym every now and then. We'll go to his. And so he is on his up and up, coming back from his stem cell. Yeah, he did have to stop lifting for a certain period of time. Yep. But now he's okay. He's on the clear to start lifting, start rebuilding. So, of course, whenever he goes and competes, he knows he's got the big team. We call him Team Bear. They're always going to be there for him to support him.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, that car accident thing was just crazy luck. I mean, he was riding a bike, I believe, right?
He was. It was just like, I think it was the little Segway thing, maybe, a little electric bike. And then, of course, not only is that going to mess you up physically, it's going to mess you up mentally because, of course, you're going to be afraid of the streets, of the cars, of the things. So it's just like, he's come out of that. He's driving again. He's going out. So, yeah, he's definitely going to come back for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So as we wrap up this evening, I wanted to ask you, what hobbies do you have outside of strength training?
I'm pretty boring. I enjoy going home. I watch Netflix. When the movies were open, that was something that I did love to do. But for now, I kind of became a homebody after like the quarantine and stuff. Everything shut down. And then honestly, being here at the gym, cleaning the gym is very therapeutic. It's very nice. I like to be there. But really just at home, I like to watch Netflix, Hulu, whatever, find a good movie and just chill.
Nice. Do you have Amazon Prime?
I do.
Have you seen Sneaky Pete? That's what I'm watching now.
No, but I have had my eye on it for a little while, and I do like the actors, but I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, when you need something new to watch, it's good. You should check it out.
Okay. I actually am always looking for things to watch. So
yeah, just give me a shout anytime you need a new recommendation.
No, thanks. I'll keep that in mind.
Awesome. So what's your next competition coming up? Like what's new and exciting in your future that we should all be keeping our eyes out for?
Everything is very new and exciting. When I was at Clash, I did get a personal invite from Kearney to go do Rainier. So that's coming up next month at the beginning of August. Like I mentioned previously, then there's America's Strongest Woman going to that. WUS has been announcing their Strongwoman circuit, so I'm going to be heading into there. And then from there, Nationals, and then OSG. Well, maybe Nationals if I don't get the pro card again at America's, and then official Strongman games to end the year.
You have a whole lot going on. Wow.
As I said, it's going to be nonstop for a minute.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Rainier's in August, I believe. So Rob, because of, I mean, I think you've heard of the latest news with him. He won't be ready to be competing there yet.
Right. Yeah. I think he might still be emceeing or judging. But he did say he is cancer-free. His procedure went very well. So he was a blast to be around at Clash. So I'm looking forward to meeting up with him again and seeing how he's doing. But no, he was a lot of fun to meet in person and just to see the personalities that are different from what you see on social media to seeing in person. I'm like, okay, they're really cool, they're really chill. Sit and eat breakfast together, hang out and talk. So I'm looking forward to that again.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that procedure went well for him. I was really hoping that would go well. But from what he said, it seemed like it was very treatable, and not that he wasn't concerned, but it was more treatable than other types. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, treatable but still scary. But his most recent post was that he was cancer free, so I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you know, I'm not just some guy talking about that. I had a scare myself, so yeah, kind of talking from experience. And mine's okay too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was a skin thing. I was just doing a bunch of workout in the yard, kind of leveling out the yard, heavy like axe type of work, and saw this scab on my ankle and went in and they said, "Oh, it's just a wart, no problem." And they send it in for a biopsy. It comes back like this rare form of skin cancer that there's 5 doctors in the world to treat, but turns out it's slow growing. And whenever I see a new growth, I have to get it checked out. And if it's another one, they liquid nitrogen freeze it off, so no chemo or anything like that. But
I was like, what are the odds that it's one of the rarest forms? You're like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they say, oh, it's super rare, but it's slightly less rare for men of Mediterranean descent. Oh, gee, thanks.
Okay. That's where, I was like, why you? I was like, okay, that's where that came into play. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that it's
Thank
super treatable. You're okay. Like, yeah, it's going to give you a little bit scared, but you're like, okay, let's go. Take it.
Yeah, but like I know what he's thinking. Like it gives you a little scare at first, and then you find out, okay, it's treatable. But yeah, so definitely can relate. But Rainier's going to be crazy. That would be great if you can compete there. I mean, I heard Maxime Boudreau is planning on going there. I think they're going to have 10 pro women and 10 pro men. Josh Hatfield, that's at his gym, and I had him on, and he was telling me about that.
Yeah, no, so for sure, I'm definitely going in there. They're being very accommodating with the athletes. They're helping us out somewhat. So that is definitely next on my list, probably less than 3 weeks out. So that's the next one we're going to, August 7th up in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, it'll be fun. You ever been up in that area?
No, I haven't.
Cool.
Which is actually one of my other favorite things about Strongman. Like, you know how you always want to travel. It's like I've been to Alabama, I've been to Florida, and so it's just like all these places that I never think I would be to that we go to just for competition. So it's, again, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I get to see all these beautiful places and do what I love at the same time. So
yeah, cool. One more question from World's Strongest Blacksmith. I think you meant to say, how do you think someone in the 6'5" range would do? I'm trying to get a friend into Strongwoman.
6'5" woman?
I think that's what he means. Tyler, okay. Let us know.
If it is a 6'5" woman, that is going to be a stacked heavyweight. She's going to be able to pack on the pounds and carry it well, because ultimately she's as tall as these men are. And so if she really puts her hard work into it, she commits to her training, she can be a wrecking ball at 6'5". Are you kidding me? That is a foot taller than me. So.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, I'm only 5'8", so I'm in the same boat with you. What did you think of Lucy Underdown's deadlift record that she just did?
Oh, no, I thought that was fantastic. And I've been kind of keeping in contact with her since then, because I try to be supportive. I shot a little message saying congratulations. And since then, we kind of talk back and forth just a little bit here and there. But she's got great spirits, very positive outlook, kind of very similar mindset, just kind of picking her brains back and forth a little bit. So I thought that was super cool. That's what I'm saying. Records are made to be broken. Now I'm waiting for Andrew to step up to the plate and be like, okay, I see you. Let's do it again. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. That was a 300 kilo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, I believe 300 kilo, that's like 660 something in pounds to me. So it's just like incredible.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I say pounds, but there's too many people in the in Strongman that talk kilos. Yeah, like I did World's Strongest Man coverage recently, and I had to do everything in kilos because that's what that's what everyone was talking.
It was so bad I have a converter on my phone, so it's just like, oh, man, I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow. All right, so let's wrap up this evening by just giving you a chance to shout out anything you want, sponsors, Jacob, anything else you think is important for people to know about. Just feel free to promote anything you like that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, no, absolutely. Sponsors especially. If anybody follows me here, you notice that I do tag on my sponsors every single day or every single time I post. Jacob is always going to be first and foremost because he is the one who brought me into the sport. Without him, I would still be I tell him all the time, I'd be some 24-hour gym rat, just lifting weights, not having a clue what to do with my life. So I owe that all to him for even just getting me started and still dealing with me day to day. I know I bug him. I'm here 24/7. But I love the guy to death. And then any sponsor, Cerberus did not have to take a chance on me. I had good lifts, but I wasn't like an athlete. I wasn't like these high competitors. I wasn't elite, and they still took me on as an athlete. So Cerberus, all the amazing gear that I could possibly ask for. Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat, actually wearing their sports bar right now. They picked me up as well. They work out at our gym, actually. They're always at our gym. So it's been a great camaraderie with them as well. And then just the people at Impact Mouth Guards, especially. I didn't think I would be a mouth guard kind of person, but I've actually almost bitten through my first one. So I was like, ooh, that was a great investment. So if you guys don't have mouth guards, we're trying to get everybody here in the gym into mouth guards. It is very beneficial to have one. So I don't know if I post this enough, but I'm always eternally grateful for anybody who takes a chance on me, sponsors, because like you don't know me from Bob, honestly. Like you can see me on Instagram, you can see my posts, but you don't personally know me. So that's something that I always have to say thankful for.
Well, I've been definitely thankful to get to know you a little better this evening. This has been a wonderful chat. By the way, I'm an affiliate for Impact Mouth Guards also, but I'm going to back off and let you give your code. What's your coupon code?
It's always going to be Bear Strength. Whenever you need to know what my coupon code is, Bear Strength for anything that I have.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Nadia, thanks again for jumping on this evening. I really do appreciate it. I learned a ton, had a lot of fun with you, and hopefully after your next competition at Rainier, we talk again. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be there. So if you're there, we can hang out, have a chat. And hopefully if you want to interview anytime in the future, I'm more than happy to do it again.
Awesome. Really appreciate it. Have a nice evening, and we'll talk again soon.
No, thank you. I hope you have a good one too. Thanks, buddy.
All right, take care.